Mintos has recently introduced a revamped and updated rating system for their loan originators, the Mintos Risk Score. Many investors have been asking us what we think about this new feature, so here is a video where I explain what are the differences between the old Mintos Lender Rating and the new Mintos Risk Score. The idea is to evaluate whether this new feature will help you make better informed investment decisions or whether it's just another way to promote low-quality lenders. My name is Jakub from P2P Empire, and in this video you will find out whether the new Mintos Risk Score is a better feature than the heavily criticized Mintos Lender Ratings. If your goal is to become a more educated investor, consider subscribing and hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm to support our channel. So before we start talking about the new Mintos Risk Score, let's briefly review the old Mintos ratings so you get a better idea about the differences between those two rating systems. The old lender rating was launched in 2018, and the goal of it was to give you a tool to make better informed decisions based on your risk when investing in loans on Mintos. The old Mintos rating system scored every loan originator according to data such as the financial statements, market position, debt collection procedures, loan portfolio quality, experience in the management, and regulatory environment where the lender is operating. Every loan originator got assigned a risk class ranging from A+, which is low risk, all the way to C-, which stands for high risk. Lenders that defaulted were marked with a D. This rating scheme should have helped to diversify your portfolio based on the ratio between potential return and the risk of particular loans. The problem with this rating system was that it hasn't been properly updated, and seemingly good lenders with a B rating got suspended, which resulted in the potential loss of your investments. Mintos has suspended several loan originators this year, and currently there are 88 million euro that Mintos is trying to recover. In the majority of cases, Mintos is blaming COVID for the suspension of loan originators. Another argument often used by Mintos is that many loan originators have not had any issues during this year. What no one is mentioning, however, is that those loan originators without any issues didn't have necessarily the largest exposure on Mintos, so chances are that you have not invested in them anyway. So that was a brief history lesson. So let's talk about the new Mintos Risk Score. In order to improve its reputation, Mintos finally decided to bring a bit more transparency into how they rate their lenders. Mintos has introduced a risk score which consists of 4 subscores, which are weighted according to their significance, which is being determined by Mintos. Mintos is looking at the loan portfolio performance, loan service efficiency, buyback strength, and the cooperation structure between Mintos and the loan originator. So now you can have a look at the subscores on the loan originator page. So let's briefly go over the 4 categories to give you an idea which data is being used to calculate a subscore. In the first segment, where Mintos is rating the loan portfolio performance, the P2P marketplace is looking at the default rate of the lender's portfolio as well as the volumes of loans that are being originated. Mintos claims to also evaluate the historical and current data when determining the subscore for this category. What Mintos is not sharing, however, are the concrete KPIs that are being used to calculate this rating. In the second segment, Mintos is evaluating the lender's internal systems. It basically takes into account the quality of the procedures and whether the lender is compliant with the law. The third subscore is representing the buyback strength. Within this segment, Mintos is evaluating the financial profile, performance, and projections of individual lenders. The business regulatory environment, as well as the diversification of revenue streams, are also 2 factors that are being considered when determining the buyback strength. The last segment is called cooperation structure, which evaluates the legal setup between Mintos and its partners. It seems like Mintos does not have a standardized contract with every lender, but rather individually negotiated contracts with different rights, which may or may not be favorable for investors. So the new Mintos Risk Score isn't using letters, but a numerical scale between 10 and 1, where 10 stands for low risk and 1 for high risk. Every subscore is rated according to this scale. However, the final score isn't the average of those subscores, but it's weighted according to Mintos methodologies. In the latest blog post from Mintos, the P2P marketplace claims that the old rating system isn't comparable with the new Mintos Risk Score, as the new system uses different methodologies. We agree with this statement, as Mintos has not really revealed the methodologies for the old rating system, and the new risk scores are a bit more transparent. Before we analyze the Mintos Risk Score for individual lenders, there is one more rating which stands for Score Withdrawn, this rating is assigned to loan originators that are not lending money on Mintos for an extended time, and it's also assigned to suspended or defaulted companies. So by now, you should have an idea about how the new risk score on Mintos works. What's more interesting, however, is the fact how Mintos scored individual lending companies. So let's have a look. Let's review the subscores for individual loan originators to see whether we can spot certain patterns. If you look at the score for the loan portfolio performance, we can see that many Spanish, Indonesian and Ukrainian lenders received a score of 5 or lower. When evaluating the risk within this subscore, you can tell that investing in lenders from those countries on Mintos is not the safest investment strategy at the moment. When we look at the next row, which represents the loan servicer efficiency, we can see that Mintos has rated all active lenders with a score of 6 or higher. This means that Mintos evaluates the internal procedures, compliance and other relevant aspects of all active lenders as good or very good. Now let's look at the buyback strength. The lender with the lowest score of 4 is eCash from Ukraine. Dinero Mexico and Express Credit Namibia are the only lenders that got a rating of 5. This means that Mintos evaluates the buyback strength of most of the active lenders as rather good. The probably most interesting subscore on this table represents the cooperation structure between Mintos and its loan originators. In this segment, we can see that most lenders got a score of lower than 5, which means that Mintos rates their legal setup with lenders as highly risky. There are only a few lenders that scored a rating of 6 within this segment. So what does it mean? It means that if lenders won't fulfill the obligation towards investors, Mintos won't be able to recover your money in a swift manner. The reason for this is that Mintos often does not have direct access to the prepayments from the borrowers and must rely on the lender to transfer the funds to Mintos, which are then being allocated across investors. Another interesting fact is that many lending companies that have a low rating for the cooperation structure are lending money on other marketplaces such as Bonster, Byventer or Euro. This means that their portfolios might be over-leveraged, which can have a negative impact on your investments if things start going sideways. Alright, so let's wrap up this video with a few takeaways. The new Mintos rating system is more transparent than the old Mintos ratings. The cooperation structure between Mintos and other lending companies is rather weak, and the rating system adds more complexity for investors who are relying on it to set up their auto-invest. Mintos has not shared more details about individual metrics and KPIs that are being used to calculate their subscores, so you can't verify whether the score actually makes sense. Mintos has also not revealed information about why certain subscore is weighted with 40%, 25% or 10%. The subscore for the cooperation structure accounts for only 10% of the total Mintos risk score. If you look at the past events on Mintos, we believe that this metric should be much higher. But what do you think? Would you like to see higher importance of the legal setup between Mintos and its partners? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below this video. So this has been a quick review of the new Mintos risk score. We believe that it certainly brings more transparency for investors than the old rating. You should, however, be alarmed that the total score for a lender is not an average score, but rather a weighted score by Mintos. This is something you should definitely consider when setting up your auto-invest in case you are investing on Mintos, as this tool does not show you the subscore at the moment. What you should be also aware of is the fact that Mintos is not a rating company, but a P2P marketplace. There is no way you should be expecting a precise risk score for variables such as the country risk or the currency risk. Mintos is working with lenders from Asia and Africa, where the reporting standards differ significantly in comparison to Europe. So take those ratings with a grain of salt. If you are an investor on Mintos, you might be looking for information on how to set up your auto-invest with the help of the Mintos risk scores. In the next video, I will share with you an alternative investment strategy by utilizing the new rating system. And believe it or not, it's going to be quite surprising, especially for all the Mintos supporters out there. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.